Hi students, Assalamu alaikum. This is Wahid Yusuf, your English teacher. As we are doing a poem that is The Tale of Custard the Dragon currently, and in the previous lectures we discussed the writer and we discussed a little bit about poetic style of Arjun Nash, and we discussed the gist of the story, gist of the poem as well. And in today's lecture, we'll discuss or simply we'll read the poem today. We shall read the poem today. So we shall start reading this poem in this lecture. Belinda lived in a little white house with a little black kitten and a little gray mouse and a little yellow dog and a little red wagon and a Trulio little pet dragon. Now the name of the little black kitten was Ink, and the little grey mouse she called him Blink, and the little yellow dog was sharp as mustard, but the dragon was a coward, and she called him Custard. Custard the dragon had big sharp teeth and spikes on top of him and scales underneath, mouth like a fireplace chimney for a nose, and Trulio daggers on his toes. Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of beers, and Ink and Blink chased a line down the stairs. Mustard was as brave as a tiger in a rage, but Custard cries for a nice safe cage. Belinda tickled him. She tickled him unmerciful. Ink, Blink, and Mustard, they rudely called him Percival. They all sat laughing in the little red wagon and the Trulio cowardly dragon. Belinda giggled till she shook the house, and Blink said "Weak," which is giggling for a mouse. Ink and Mustard rudely asked his age, when Custard cried for a nice safe cage. Suddenly, they heard a nasty sound, and Mustard growled, and they all looked around. Meow, cried Ink, and ooh, cried Belinda, for there was a pirate climbing in the window. Pistol in his left hand, pistol in his right, and he held in his teeth a cutlass bright. His beard was black, one leg was wood. It was clear that a pirate meant no good. Belinda paled and she cried, "Help, help!" But Mustard fled with a terrified yell. Ink trickled down to the bottom of the household, and little Mouse blinked strategically mousehold. But up jumped Custard, snorting like an engine, clashed his tails like irons in the dungeon. With a clatter and a clank and a jangling skirm, he went at the pirate like a robin at a worm. The pirate gaped at Belinda's dragon and gulped some grog from his pocket flagon. He fired two bullets, but they didn't hit, and Custard gobbled him every bit. Belinda embraced him, Mustard licked him, no one mourned for his pirate victim. Ink and Blink in glee did gyrate around the dragon that ate the pirate. But presently up spoke little dog Mustard. I'd have been twice as brave if I'd been flustered. And up spoke Ink and up spoke Blink. We'd have been we'd have been three times as brave, we think. And Custard said, I quite agree that everybody is braver than me. Belinda still lives in her little white house with her little black kitten and her little grey mouse and her little yellow dog and her little red wagon and her Trulio little pet dragon. Belinda is as brave as barrel full of beers, and Ink and Blink chase lions down the stairs. Mustard is as brave as a tiger in a rage, but Custard keeps crying for a nice safe cage. So this is a poem which we are going to read today. I already told you that this poem is we find a lot of poetic devices used in this poem. See, Belinda lived in a little white house with a little black kitten and a little grey mouse and a little red dog and a little red wagon and a Relio Trulio Little Pet Dragon.
As you know that this poem is a ballad, so it narrates a story. It narrates a story, and in this poem, the first line is of this poem, that is Belinda lived in a little white house, etc. In these lines, the poet says that once there was a little girl named Belinda. She lived in a little white house. She lived in a little white house, and she lived with some creatures who were her pets. Some four creatures were there who were her pets, and among them was a little yellow dog, a little black kitten, a little gray mouse, and a little pet dragon. So these are the creatures with which Belinda lives, in her little white house. See, in these lines, if we try to find the rhyme scheme of these four lines, the first stanza of the poem, it is house, mouse. This is A, dragon, oh, sorry, wagon, dragon, and this is baby. This is baby. So we have this rhyme scheme of A and BB in this stanza, and the word one word is repeatedly used in this stanza, that is we call that repetition, and we have the word little. See here, we have little white house, little black kitten, little gray mouse, little yellow dog, little red wagon, and little pet dragon. So this is another technique used here. One rhyme scheme, another repetition, and anaphora. Anaphora is also there. When a line, anaphora is repeated use of a word at the start of two or more than two consecutive liners, and we have here two liners, one and two, they start with the word and so this is what anaphora is. This is what anaphora is. And we have these words that is relio and trulio. These words are also very important because they create a musical effect in this stanza, or we can say in this poem, and they are repeatedly used throughout the poem. I think we'll do the this poetic devices at the last. We'll go through the poem once again, and we'll find out all the poetic devices used in the poem, because there are a lot of poetic devices in every stanza. We shall find so many poetic devices. For example, here in this stanza, we have already seen some three or four poetic devices. For example, one a rhyme scheme is there, repetition has been used here, anaphora is there, and these rhyming words have been used which create a musical effect, and oxymoron is also used here. Oxymoron is when two opposite words are used together, that is pet dragon. A dragon can never be pet, so pet dragon is an oxymoron here. So I think we'll read the poem first, then in uh, then after that we'll read it again, so that we can get all the literary devices, poetic devices which are in the poem. So in the first stanza, we are told that there was this girl whose name was Belinda, and she has these four pets. She has some creatures who she who she call her pets. Yes. Now the name of the little black kitten was Ink, and the little grey mouse she called him Blink, and the little yellow dog was sharp as mustard, but the dragon was a coward, and she called him Mustard. Here the poet explains the name of all the animals that are tamed by Belinda. He says that the name of the black kitten is Ink. This black kitten is Ink. The name of the little grey mouse is Blink, and the little yellow dog is named as Mustard, and the dragon, who was a coward, she called him Custard. So all these creatures have names. Belinda's creatures, one is Ink, The black kitten is Ink, the gray mouse is Blink, the yellow dog is Mustard, and the dragon is Custard. The covered dragon is Custard. Custard the dragon had big sharp teeth and spikes on top of him and scales underneath, mouth like a fireplace, chimney for a nose, and Rilio Trilio daggers on his toes. See, as far as this stanza is concerned, this stanza describes the dragon. This stanza describes the dragon. And we are told about certain things as far as dragon is concerned. See, before that, spikes means this word, spikes word meaning, it means thin pointed surface, which is the surface of the skin of a dragon. And then these scales, we see scales are the bony pellets which we find on fish, which we find on fish. The body of the skin of fish is covered with scales. So that is what scales are. See, we are told that the dragon had big sharp teeth and spikes on its top, spikes on its top. So the poet describes the dragon, and the poet says that it had big sharp teeth, it had big sharp teeth, and it had spikes on top, it had spikes on top. That means that its skin was pointed on top, its skin was pointed on top. And the poet also tells us that on the lower part it had scales which were bony plates to protect the skin. And then his mouth is compared to a fireplace. His mouth is compared to a fireplace because it is assumed that dragons can release fire from the mouth, fire from their mouth. So simile is used here. Chimney is compared for a nose. Chimney is compared for his nose. So his mouth is compared to a fireplace, and his nose is compared to a chimney which is used to pass out smoke, and his feet are compared to a sharp knife, to a daggers. So his feet are compared, his nose is compared, his mouth is compared. That is what we have as far as this dragon is concerned. See, Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of wares, and ink and blink chased lines down the stairs. Mustard was as brave as a tiger in rage, but Custard cried for a nice, safe cage. Now the poet explains the strength or the bravery of various characters in the poem. He tells us how much brave the characters in the poem are. How much brave the characters in the poem are, as far as their thinking is concerned. They think that they are this brave, that they are this brave. The poet says that Belinda was as brave as a group of bears, as a herd of bears, and Ink and Blink were so brave that they could hunt lions. So this little creature, mouse, this little creature, this cat, they could hunt lions. They were so brave. So here he has shown the bravery of the kitten and the little mouse that could even hunt a lion, that could even hunt a lion. And the dog was very brave, he was also very brave, just like any angry tiger, just like a tiger in rage when a tiger is angry. But to contrast of all of them, to contrast of all of them was Custard. Custard the dragon was not brave, as he was afraid of everything. Ironically, he was afraid of everything. And the poet says that is why he always asked for a safe cage, he always demanded a safe cage. So we are told here that Belinda was as brave as the barrel full of lions, and Ink and Blink chased lions down the stairs. Sorry, barrel full of bears. And Ink and Blink chased lions down the stairs. Mustard was as brave as a tiger in rage. So similes, lot of similes have been used in this poem. So here again we have similes. Belinda is compared to the barrel full of bears. Ink and Blink chased lions down the stairs. Mustard is compared to a tiger in rage, and Custard only cried for a nice safe cage. So this is what this stanza talks about. So in this stanza, we have alliteration, we have simile, we have assonance here in this stanza. The Belinda tickled him, she tickled him unmerciful. Ink, blink, and mustard, they rudely called him Percival. They all sat laughing in the little red wagon, and at the Rulio Trilio cowardly dragon. At the Rulio Trilio cowardly dragon. See, Percival is it is Percival is a knight simply in King Arthur's court. His name was Percival. His name was actually Percival, and this has been he has been quoted here in this poem as well. See, Belinda, she used to stroke the dragon in a very cruel way. She used to tickle him. She used to tickle him. And as far as ink and blink is concerned, and as far as mustard is concerned, they made fun of him by comparing him to a knight named Percival. The knight named Percival, who was thought to be brave but ran away due to lack of courage. Ran away due to lack of courage. So that is why they compare him to a knight named Percival, who ink, blink, and mustard compare him to a knight named Percival, and Belinda, she tickled him in a very cruel way. And then Belinda giggled till she shook the house, and Blink sent Weak, which is giggling for a mouse. Ink and Mustard rudely asked his age when Custard cried for a nice safe cage. When Custard cried for a nice safe cage. Then the poet says that Belinda used to laugh so loudly that her voice echoed in the house. She used to laugh loudly at this Custard, at this dragon. She used to laugh at him, and Blink, the mouse, used to laugh and make a sound of weak. Weak is the sound which is created by this mouse, which is created by the mouse, and this weak and another word, giggle. These are onomatopoeic words. All these things I'll discuss later on in the poem when we read it again, as far as poetic devices are concerned. So we have a lot of devices. It is filled with devices, this poem. In this stanza we have rhyme scheme of ABAB, we have onomatopoeic words, we have repetition, we have alliterations, etc. So these words, that is giggle and this weak, they are onomatopoeic words. And see, Blink the mouse used to laugh and make a sound of weak. On the other hand, Ink and Mustard would tease him by asking the dragon his age whenever he tried to demand a nice safe cage. So he was taken as a coward. He was taken as a coward because he always asked for a nice safe cage. He always demanded a nice safe cage. So that is why the other creatures, the other pets of Belinda and Belinda herself, they would call him a coward. They would name him a coward because he always wanted this nice safe cage. Now we have the twist in story, we have the twist in the poem, and that is very important. And now things will take turn. See, we have another stanza, that is this. Suddenly, they heard a nasty sound, and Mustard growled, and they all looked around. Meow cried Ink, and ooh cried Blinda, for there was a fire climbing in the window. See, the artistry of Arjun Nash, he has misspelled the word window, and instead of window he has used winda. He has used winda. It is what is crafty, what is this artistry of Arjun Nash. See, what happened now? While all of them were making fun of the dragon, they would laugh at him, they would tease him, and they would call him by names of coward. They heard a sound of someone entering the house. So they were busy in this laughing, they were busy making fun of the dragon, but in the meantime, they heard a sound of someone entering the house. When they looked towards the window, they saw a pirate. They saw a man climbing up the wall. The dog barked at him, and the kitten meowed to him. Belinda cried, ooh, because all of them were scared of the pirate. Pirate is simply one who robs ships in the sea. So they were very scared. They were very frightened. So it was till now they were bragging about their bravery. They were bragging about their bravery. They would say that we can do this, we can chase lions, we can chase bears, and we can be like angry tigers, etc. But now when they saw a pirate climbing up the wall, they were all scared. They felt scared, they felt frightened, because they could not muster the courage to stand before that pirate. So this is, I believe, we shall do for today, and rest of the things we shall do tomorrow, inshallah, in another lecture. So with this I conclude today's lecture, and we shall do rest of the things, other stanzas, we shall do in another lecture. So I hope you will be fine, and with this, thank you. Have a nice day. Allah Hafiz.